All right, everyone, let's do some more. Let's play around with the idea of anticipation. Now, remember, anticipation is the idea that you have an action that sort of sets up the audience to know what upcoming action is going to be. So, for instance, I have some text here, okay? And what I want to do is the text is just like, it's going to go like here, maybe even a little bit further off the page. Okay, so let's just play that. Now, the thing about what's happening here is the text kind of just goes, right? There's really nothing that kind of indicates to the audience that something's about to happen. That's what an anticipation action or pose can do. And we're actually gonna try this out. So I'm going to actually apply an effect called, we're going to do distort, and we're going to use something called CC Bender. Okay. And when you do that, you can see that like I can bend literally the text or whatever it is I'm applying it to. I'm kind of playing around with this. Kind of worked better when it was in the center. Okay. So what I'm going to do is before my character is going to move forward, let's have it kind of like bend and then kind of go that way. That kind of sets us up that we are going to, something is about to happen. So I'm going to go here and let's set the amount and let's do that. And then I'm going to go forward by using the positive version. So if I play this out, there's that little kind of like boom. Okay. And I kind of, let's do a little bit more. This is where timing can play around. All right. So that little kind of, that's anticipation. Just by using a little bit of an effect there, a little bender. All right, here I have a horse. It's kind of the same idea. I even put a little motion blur. So it's like if I do this, the horse kind of gallops, right? Once again, it'd be kind of nice if there was some sort of anticipation action. So let's do that same thing. I'm going to go and let's apply CC Bender. And I'm actually going to move these so it's kind of at the top and the bottom of the character. It's a little too much warps. Let's try this boxer one. Nah. Yeah, I'm doing a little bit too much here. Well, let's do kind of the same thing where it's like I'm gonna switch it to this boxer one. And then let's set this up. Amount, let's set it up to 0. And then we'll kind of use a negative value here. And then, okay. Might even do like a little rotation here. So I'm just gonna rotate it just a smidgen. All right. It's little things like this that can help, just to give your animation something that's just a little bit more. You know what I mean? All right, so that's anticipation. Let's do a little follow through. Now, remember that in follow through, the idea is when something's, is moving, not all parts of the character stay the same. So in other words, like the way I kind of explain it is like if I'm wearing a cape and I move, it's like the cape moves even after I stop because of wind resistance. Like this happens with clothes or with hair or, lightweight objects here. So right now, my character is moving. Okay. You can even add a little motion blur there that we learned earlier. And it doesn't really, like if you had this really long object, what might actually really happen is the object would kind of tip forward a little bit and then kind of come back. Okay. So one way I could do this is like, all right, I'm going to take this object. I've actually already moved the anchor point to the bottom here. And then when it comes here, I'm just going to rotate it just a little bit forward. And then it comes back a little bit. And then back to 0. So I go from -10 to positive. Let's do 6. And then, okay. So that's like a little bit. We can even kind of extend this a little bit too. I guess I kind of play around with values here. So maybe do a little more. So it's gonna go and then kind of wobble a little bit. Okay. Here I have my text. So let's do the text here, right? So the text comes in, and what I'm trying to do is get something that kind of looks like, actually, I guess I didn't do that. This is the original. And I need this whole thing to bend. So we're going to use that bender again. Distort CC bender. So this is really good when you have an object that's kind of fat and you kind of want to distort it. So what I'm trying to do is like, all right, when this kind of comes in, I kind of want it to kind of go forward and then back a little bit, and then maybe that, and then boom. So let's kind of use the other I'm using the position keyframes here as kind of a reference point. I'm going to create that kind of whiplash. All right, so he comes in. When he stops, this is about, when I want. So I'm going to go, he goes forward. And actually, I kind of don't love this. I'm going to try to put these kind of in the center of the text here. There you go. You kind of want the top and base to kind of be kind of in the horizontal middle, roughly. That kind of makes your effect better, as you can kind of see there. All right, so I'm going to animate the amount. Let's go forward, maybe -50. Back, maybe +30. And then maybe back to and then totally off. All right, so the result of this should be, all right, so you kind of get that follow through, like the top of it is, made of jello and it's like catching up with the base, which is like the heavier part. So like, it kind of gives it that extra little bit of weight there. All right. And like I said, you can kind of do this to really anything. Any kind of text could be bent to kind of have that follow through. Um, let's say we wanted, this is not in your exercise, but like remember that you can have a secondary action too, which kind of adds to this. So maybe while this is moving, I'm going to make a I'm gonna make a white box here. Oh, I'm gonna make this box kind of, and I'm gonna parent this so that this is gonna do whatever the text does. Okay. Hopefully you guys remember what parenting is. So while this is moving, maybe we can do that little tip thing where, okay, I'm gonna take the pivot point, which is currently here. Let's move that to the base there. And then while this moves forward, let's do another one of those like rotation things where maybe this kind of like kind of wobbles back and forth. And this would be in animation terms a secondary action that kind of sells the action of the character moving. This might even be a little bit, because this is attached to this might even come a little bit after this. So I'm going to take all of my keyframes and literally just move them like one frame behind. Yeah. See how that feels a little bit more natural? Because like if it's like if a car stops, you stop, but it takes a second for it to happen. All right, so that's a secondary action I'm applying here. All right, so I want you guys to try that out. That was exercise 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, please. Okay.